Hello everyone, and welcome back to another GT Online guide, where today we're going to be taking a look at all the currently released Doomsday heist sports cars added to GT Online, in the form of the Coil Raiden, the Ocelot Pariah, the Comet Safari, and the Ubermacht Sentinel Classic. So let's get right to the guide, shall we? So some of you have asked when I was finally going to get around to doing all the civilian cars in the DLC. Well, the reason I've held off from it was firstly because I wanted to do the vehicles that everyone was mainly interested in, and secondly, I can't afford any of these bloody cars. So for this video I've had to resort to borrowing cars so that I could take a good look at them. Don't worry, they're all max upgraded. Anyway, so the 4 cars that we're looking at, 3 of them added on day 1 of the DLC, and 1 that was added on Tuesday the 19th in the form of the Sentinel Classic. These are of course all sports cars, so inevitably I'll be comparing them against each other. Now, a lot of you will probably be in high hopes for the Pariah, Pharaoh, or the Farto. I don't know how to say it properly. Yeah, a lot of you are probably in high hopes for the Pariah because apparently it's incredibly fast. Like, unbalanced fast. But before we get to the all-important performance test, let's take a look at some of the cars, shall we? Starting with the Coil Raiden, the name of which is basically Japanese for thunder and lightning. A fitting name to say the least, considering that this is an electric sports car. It handles like most other cars, nothing really special to report on my end. It's just another sports car added to the game to grab more cash from your filthy hands. Of course, now this means that we have to compare this car to the Coil Cyclone, a car which I commend for having some pretty awesome acceleration speeds. How does the Raiden hold up to the Cyclone in a drag performance test? Well then, the Raiden was considerably slower than the Cyclone, but looking at the prices of both cars, you can probably see how the difference in cost affected the performance. Moving on, let's take a look at the Comet Safari. Now, one thing you may notice on the front there are machine guns. Yeah, I was like, what are these? And yeah, they're machine guns. So in effect, we have a car that looks like something from MotorStorm that's also sort of like a Bond car. Because therefore I classed it as a weaponized vehicle, I decided to test its armor, if any, and no, there isn't any. The machine guns are about as pathetic as you can imagine they are, but thankfully you can still make use of your normal drive-by weapons as well as the mounted machine guns, so at least versatility is something that this weaponized car has. Handling and performance wise, I like how responsive this thing is when you steer left and right. Definitely a fun car for going over jumps and going off-roading. Acceleration and top speed is also pretty good. I like how you can get exhaust that are like 45 degrees from the body. It gives it a very mean look on the back. As for the performance test, well, I'll go through the other cars first before I get to that. So, the Pariah, a sports car that I could have sworn was a supercar unless I actually got in one and I see sports on the name tag in the corner of the screen when I get in the car. This thing is fast. Just from having a play around with the thing, it feels faster than a lot of supercars, but then again, for its price tag, you better hope it's fast because it ain't gonna be worth it otherwise. Here's how it looks against a once good sports car for racing. The difference is night and day. With a wing on the back, this thing has more than enough grip to make it do whatever you want it to do. You can go for that perfect racing line or make it go sideways with a flick of a handbrake. This car will do pretty much anything. Overall, I like this car, and as soon as I can afford to start buying cars again, I'll get one. Finally, let's take a look at the E30 remake in the form of the Sentinel Classic. Now, I can see a lot of fans of the car getting this one, but is aesthetics alone worth the asking price of $650,000? Well, you'll find out soon enough, but for now, the handling of the car is about average. Nothing really to report on this car in particular. The acceleration feels a little slow, but other than that, the car seems extremely normal. So enough rambling on, let's pit all these cars against each other and see how they stack up, shall we? So from what we've seen in this test is that the Raiden, despite being inferior to its cousin the Cyclone, was still able to beat the Pariah to the finishing line in the distance given, but near the end the Pariah was slowly closing the gap, but its top speed couldn't make up for the Raiden's electric acceleration, but given a longer straight and the Pariah would have easily been able to overtake the Raiden. The Comet Safari was also able to get off the line much quicker than the Pariah, but its acceleration wasn't as good as the Raiden's, and also its top speed was completely decimated by both the Raiden and the Pariah's, meaning that it fell behind about halfway through the test. And unfortunately for the Sentinel Classic, due to both slow acceleration and average top speed, which is only slightly higher than that of the Safari from what we've seen, it came dead last because it just couldn't catch up from that terrible start off the line. So that's 4 of the to-date latest sports cars added to GTA Online through the Doomsday Heist DLC. There'll be more coming soon, so stay tuned for more, and of course, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the Pyro Gaming channel for loads more GTA Online videos coming to you very soon. See you around, everyone.